A few recent cases of lockouts being used against workers. Do you think that's a new trend that we're seeing, or what's your take on the situation?
Continuing trend, I guess, from the Liverpool Dockers onwards, through the Patrick dispute and the ILW lockout. A lot of the actions by employers during the first and second directives in Europe, we've been identifying a trend of militant employer behaviour. That's coming to a head now up in Longview in Northwest America, with the lockout of the ILWU and the replacement by non-stevedoring workers. So yeah, it's militant activity. They always accuse the international dock workers of militant activity when in fact it's the employers. And there's no more militant activity than self-harm. When you're pulling the pin on your shareholders, pulling the pin on the people that rely on stevedoring to keep their business going, whether through the delivery of bulk cargoes or in the retail sector. So this is very aggressive employer behaviour directed to watering down and harming their own workforce. Very destructive, a long-term trend, and something that is largely encouraged by authorities and through legislative practices within countries. And again, it's part of the war on workers. And because of the importance of stevedoring, particularly to international trade, we're seeing this international war on workers materialising in more aggressive manifestations all the time. It's a real worry, and it's more reason that international dock workers need to continue to consolidate their campaigns around global network terminals and establish stronger and more accountable relationships there, and also in ports of convenience where these maverick employers are prepared to take radical action. International dock workers need to be able to target them through political campaigning, commercial campaigning, financial funding, and any other mechanism reasonably open to them to make sure that there is a proper balance between dock workers and their employers. If this happens, and this continuing trend happens in the docks of the world, then it's only a matter of time, before it translates into effective union stripping in virtually every other part of national economies.
Do you think there's a danger that workers don't understand that we need to change the response because of this aggressive behaviour from employers?
Well, they're always, when the employers put together these campaigns, militant lockouts, it's really strike action, not only directed against workers but directed against customers. They usually back them up with very strong communication campaigns. You find that the anti-union media climbs all over it. The Murdoch press is a typical example of someone that they solicit very quickly. Sky Media and all the rest of it to give the very worst side of the issue from a worker's perspective. And yes, lots of workers buy that stuff. So really, it's incumbent upon unions to make sure that all workers understand the real issues behind this. This is directed at removing conditions of employment that have been hard won and legitimately and legally won over many generations sometime. This is a fast track to remove overtime rates, reduce manning, reduce hourly rates of pay, weaken occupational health and safety. These are all designed to reduce the conditions of employment that had been legitimately and legally won. And of course it's incumbent not only on the individual dock workers unions but the ITF dock workers sections, and that's one of the things that we've been very innovative at, and we've made lots of commitment to, including commitment of resources, that we get our message out. Workers have got a legitimate right to go to work and enjoy the conditions of employment they bargained for, and not be met with militant behaviour, directed at taking those things away, largely illegally, just because the legislation, current prevailing legislation, is greatly slanted on behalf of the employer and against workers' rights. So we need to get out there, tell the story and mobilise behind the real story, and that is, they're our rights, they need protecting, and we're the only people that are going to do it.